Hello and welcome back to Simple Time Studios, where we recall adventures in solo roleplay for your entertainment. Once again, we are continuing Psion's adventures in the mysteriously abandoned city planet of D-2023. Let us begin. Psion stood at the entrance of the robot coliseum and peered inside the best he could without crossing through the expansive gateway. Like everything else, the entrance to this attraction was massive for the untold thousands that would visit in any given hour. Yet the Ursan explorer couldn't see anything that looked like a ticket counter or a pass scanner anywhere in the massive archway above him. Surely there had to be some sort of security given how much of this amusement park was still functional. But then wouldn't there have been something about the park attacking explorers for getting in without paying? Standing in the middle of the cavernous entryway, much too big for a single being, Psion pulled out his pocket computer and started scanning for a life sign that might be Chen. Okay, Psion is going to make a perception check with his pocket computer's scanner function. 1d20 plus 4 gets me a 5 thanks to a natural 1. So he has a rough idea, or so he thinks. A faint flicker of a signal directed him upstairs and towards the main arena. Ambling along, he slowly climbed up a flight of stairs and checked his pocket computer again, the signal disappearing only to reappear in several different locations on this level before disappearing again. Must be interference. Guess I better search one room at a time. He mused, only to realize the enormity of that task when he walked out a stairwell and looked down one end of the vast hallway before turning his head and looking down the other. Just like the level below it, this cavernous corridor was expansive to deal with the volume of attendees going to the main coliseum or the smaller robot arenas when this planet was still inhabited. A worried eyebrow raised behind his emerald green smart goggles and quickly set back down once he considered the problem. Searching on foot was impossible. Even if he had others searching with him, it would not be practical. But the park would have had to deal with a similar problem on a regular basis when it was in use, and the computer systems were clearly still functioning. Okay. Psion is going to attempt to use the alien park management system to see if he can find a locate missing person function. So this is going to be a 1d20 plus 4 computer check with advantage since he already spent a genius point trying to figure out the alien program. 8 and 19, and I keep the higher number. I'm already going to rule that such a system is in place and not ask the Dice Oracle, since it would stand to reason that a place this big would have many cases of lost children or adults that need to be paged back to their party. Bringing up the park program that had installed itself on his pocket computer, Psion carefully searched through the menu options, trying to call what he had learned about the native language so far, before he finally found the function he was looking for. Green-gloved fingers activated the program, and a second later a musical chime rang through the robot arena. Federation Programmer Chen, your party is waiting for you at the second-floor arena entrance. Programmer Chen, please rejoin Psion Novastar and the rest of your party. The park intercom suddenly announced in perfect Federation standard, then repeated again in Orion Common, with a crackle of static from electronics that had not been used in ages. Psion had a lot of questions about how well this idea had worked and how quickly the park's AI learned not one but 2 alien languages it certainly never heard before. But those are questions for later. Right now he needed to find Chen. The moment the announcement finished echoing through the vacant corridors, a petite woman with short-cropped black hair leaned out from around a corner further down from Psion. When she saw the Orion bear, she quickly came out and started to stagger towards him. Psion was quick to notice that she was clutching her side with a pained expression on her face. "Did you find my son Bo?" she asked. Psion nodded as he looked the soul-fed programmer over. "We found him a few days ago. We came back to find you." Okay, Psion is going to make a medicine check, a 1d20 plus 7, to diagnose the extent of Chen's injuries. And he gets a 16 on his roll. Psion wished he remembered to bring his medical kit from his ship, but fortunately it looked like Chen's injuries could be treated with what he had in his suit pockets. She was standing more or less normally, but seemed to be clutching her left lower abdomen. The lack of blood soaking her uniform was a good sign. No open wounds. But it didn't answer the question how she got hurt in the first place. "I might have something for that," he added, gesturing to her side with a green-gloved hand. Chen looked over her shoulder, then shook her head. "No, it's not safe. It probably hurt your page," she declined hastily, walking back down the stairwell to the first floor. Psion was tempted to ask what it was, but something about the way Chen was starting to make her way out of the robot arena made him uneasy. Another question for when they were all safely back on the train heading back to the spaceport, he thought as he followed her back down the stairs. Back down on the first floor, the exit back in sight, Psion soon found what made Chen so nervous. Walking with a heavy stomp that was felt as much as it was heard, the towering mechanical gladiator walked out of a side hallway and turned to face the two lost explorers. Painted a bright electric blue, the humanoid-shaped robot appeared unarmed except for a pair of oversized hands clenched into fists. The ancient machine looked for all the universe like a massive weaponized version of an old human toy Psion once saw. Far away enough that the two of them still had a good chance at escape, but close enough that Psion could see that the lone robot was bigger than any being he had ever seen before. Psion saw what he needed to do and did it. Grabbing Chen in a tight bear hug, he started to run for the entrance and hoped that would be enough. Okay, Psion is going to make a dexterity check to try and outrun the robot. I'm going to roll a 1d20 plus 0, and I get an 11. It'll have to be enough. Chen squeezed tight against his chest. Psion managed to race through the entrance arch without losing his breath. The robot chased after and almost caught up with him, only stopping once Psion ran through the arch and out of the attraction. Whatever system was controlling it, it apparently didn't want the blue robot to wander beyond its assigned attraction. That was an interesting detail to remember for later. Setting Chen back down to her feet, Psion began to apologize. "Sorry, I know humans can be particular about..." But Chen didn't let him finish before hugging him back, wrapping her arms around him and sinking into him. Psion grinned and patted her head as he fished his pocket computer and sent a message to the other search parties that he had found Chen and that they could all meet back at the vacuum train station. Hopefully this was it and there wasn't any other problems. Do any of the other search groups run into problems? I give it a 50-50. And 75 says no. Guess everyone can meet back at the train station and head back to the spaceport after all. The message sent, Psion examined Chen's injury and treated it the best he could with what he had on hand before they made their way back to the train station. As they headed back, they were joined by the other explorers that searched other parts of the park. Most looked relieved that they didn't need to spend any more time searching empty theme park attractions, but a few did look a little worse for the wear. Psion assumed there was a story there he would hear later. More importantly, he could tell that everyone that went in had come out again. Gathered back in the train station, the search parties boarded and were soon back on their way to the spaceport. Chen was treated and both Psion and she recounted what they had encountered while they explored the park. Psion was intrigued by how much she claimed to have explored, but hoped he wouldn't need to use what she had learned anytime soon. There had been enough excitement for a couple days. He could use some downtime to analyze the plant samples he recovered while the humans got more of the train network back online. End of session.